In today's video, I just want to have a look at a few statistics from the Hootsuite team. I mean, they've brought out a list of 25 statistics about YouTube for 2021, and I think that there are some things in that you and I, as the regular creators, can leverage to make our content pop just that little bit more in 2021 and beyond. This is how we do it. What's up, everybody? It's Shane here, waiting to be seen, and I want to welcome you to my channel. Today, I am so excited to have you, especially if you're new, and especially for all of the new subscribers that have been signing up throughout 2021. It remains an exciting time to be involved in YouTube. And so I'm sure you're here today because you're involved in YouTube and you just want to hear some of the information, some of the stats that the huge web company Hootsuite have released, and I will make sure that I will put a link to the entire list of 25 statistics that they have sourced down in the description below. But for now, we'll have a look at a few of those key statistics that could help you with your channel this year. I'm sure of it. It's certainly going to be able to help me with mine. I'm going to be using my phone because I need to reference things correctly. And the very first statistic is this: YouTube has more than 2 billion logged in monthly users. I think that's a stat that you can run by really quickly. Let's slow it down, have a think about that again. 2 billion, with a B, logged in monthly users. What does that mean for small content creators like myself or like you? The opportunities for us are still there to connect with people. They're still there to engage with an audience and to really develop a sense of community around the content that we are creating. I think that is an excellent place to start off with these stats. Just to be reminded, there is still so much engagement that we can have with people if we can figure out the best ways and means to do that for our content. Lots of the statistics in this Hootsuite list are US centric, and so I'm going to skip over a number of those. That's why I really didn't want to drill down into a whole bunch of that stuff, because it might not be relevant for the people that already engage with me and my content. But with that being said, there are some things that are really, really interesting. So, statistic number 2 that I want to talk to you about today is this: 16.4% of YouTube traffic comes from the US. Thinking about this for myself, I live in Australia. I create content specifically thinking about Australians. We have total population of 25 million people. Now, that's not a big group of people on the global scale, that's for sure. Why is something like this important? It's important to recognize that it is representative of the largest consumption of YouTube content. 16.4% of all YouTube content is being consumed by Americans. What that means is, as content creators, we need to at least keep that in the back of our mind when we are creating content. If we are so location focused, so geography focused on our own experiences, there's a very real possibility that we could miss out on having a much wider engagement. The US is number 1 at 16.4%. You'd think that number 2 would still be in double digits, right? At least I would, but it's not. Number 2 is actually India, and they are at 9.2%. And then number 3, interestingly enough, is Japan at 4.8%. So, of all of the YouTube content that's available out there, 3 countries are consuming 30% of that content. Our content still needs to be ours, right? It still needs to be us and a representation of us. But what we can do is just maybe salt and pepper our content with some stuff that would make it palatable to an American, or perhaps an Indian, or perhaps somebody that's Japanese. We can work harder, or we can work smarter. And I think that that's something we can do that will help us to work a little bit smarter. Statistic number 3, which I also find really encouraging. I mean, it's potentially 2 sides of the same coin, and I'll explain why. There are More than 1 billion hours of video content being watched every single day. That's a lot. I think the tech in me kind of goes, oh man, YouTube servers must be so amazing. The amount of content that's being uploaded and at the same time is then processing it, because more and more content is being uploaded in 4K and beyond that. So, you know, it has to run in the background to process that and then to share it and see it all. 1 billion, with a B, billion hours of content is being watched every single day. What that says to me, the positive is that people can find your content. If we're ticking the normal YouTube boxes, if we have some good thumbnails, if we have a good title, if we have a good first sentence in our description, we are setting ourselves up still in 2021 in such a way that we can have people engage with us. People say, oh, well, is it actually worthwhile creating content in 2021? Yeah, yes, I think so. With 1 billion hours of content being watched every day, then yes, it's definitely still worthwhile. The flip side of that coin, of course, is that there's 1 billion hours of content being watched. We need to hone our product. We should figure out who we are, what we're about, and kind of narrow that focus a bit. And the more that we can narrow that focus and really zero in on a niche market, then there's greater opportunity for the right people to find our content, which then, of course, is going to increase views. It's going to increase subscribers. It's fascinating just to follow on from that 1 billion hours of video being watched every day, that of those who are 18 and over, on average, a person is spending 41.9 minutes consuming content. Amazing, amazing. This then leads into the next tip, which I definitely wanted to have separate, and it's this. 40.9% of YouTube watch time happens on mobile devices. This one is a big one, I think. I come from a production background. I've done a number of videos in production spaces, in broadcast TV spaces. Content that's consumed online is similar, right? It's not exactly the same, it's similar, but it is different. And it's different again when you're creating content for a mobile device. So the stuff that I'm making, when I'm doing the editing, when I'm tweaking the sound and things like that, I'm doing that on studio headphones, right? And that sounds good in the studio headphones, but I'm not sure how it sounds on a phone before I've finished it and I've wrapped it up and I've uploaded it. And then I listen and I go, oh, actually that music's a little bit softer than I thought it was going to be. Maybe it could have been a little bit louder, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That is why I think this statistic is really important to be reminded of. In 2021, if you're creating content, just spit out a 30-second bit or 1 minute piece of your overall content, upload that to YouTube, and then listen to it on a mobile device. Watch it on a mobile device. See what it looks and sounds like. And if it's sounding good and looking good on a mobile, then you're going to be setting yourself up really, really well. Think about that. Think about how you can create engaging content that is going to be able to reach through the screen of your mobile device or your viewer's mobile device. Now, I'm going to finish up with this statistic today. In the list, it is only stat number 13, but today this is stat number 5 for me, because I just wanted to make it short, punchy, something that's encouraging for you and for me as content creators in 2021. And this is the statistic. The average visitor to YouTube checks out 8.89 pages per day. I love that. I think that's encouraging. It means that if we're doing our job and we're adding cards that are relevant during our content, or we're doing a good job adding end cards, or we are creating content that is closely aligned with something that somebody else has made, then people are still likely to click through. there is still a good click-through rate that is available for us. So let's say I've made a video on lighting, and the last 3 weeks I did a series on lighting. Somebody might go and have a look and see, oh, somebody of the caliber of a Peter McKinnon or a Casey Neistat or somebody like that has done a video on some lighting. And then they click the next link, and then they click another link, and then they click another. It is possible that at click number 8.89, they've landed on one of my videos. It means that people on average are spending 4.6 minutes on content, about thereabouts. Knowing that in the YouTube space, people are still engaging with multiple accounts and multiple channels is something that we can be encouraged with. That is where I'm going to finish up for today, because I think that all of those stats really speak to us as the smaller content creators on YouTube. There's a good possibility people will find your content and will engage with your content, but it still needs to be about the people that are consuming to a good degree. I know people say, well, just make content that you want. YouTube is definitely a consumer space. If you're intent on growing the channel, you need to find that balance. You need to make stuff that is good for the people watching. And that's what today's video has been all about. I wanted to just break down this 25 statistic list from Hootsuite into just a few tips, a few things that are useful for you as content creators in a smaller capacity. And if you think that that has been helpful, then why not give me a thumbs up down below. And if you think that any of the other content that I have here at Waiting to Be Seen might be of use to you, then consider subscribing to my channel as well. So you know the drill. All you have to do is click on the big red subscribe button down below, click on the notification bell right alongside that, and YouTube, they will do the rest. They will let you know as soon as my latest content has dropped, and I would very much love to have you on board for the journey. I hope Friday is full of all the good feels. We've just finished Easter. I hope that this Friday is also a good Friday, and that this weekend's going to be a fantastic one, and the week to come has such potential for you that you're smiling and grinning from ear to ear. Guys, thanks so much for stopping by. This has been Shane, Waiting to Be Seen, and I'll see you next week. Bye.
That's gonna leave a mark.
What?